Thank you very much. As it did for many of Colorado's early mountain railroads. But 20 years later, in 1959, about 80 acres of land were donated to our Colorado Historical Society. This land included most of our intact railroad right-of-way, as well as two 1860s and 70s silver mines, including our Lebanon mine. During the 1960s, the future of our railroad was threatened by the construction of the Interstate 70. Their original plans were to bring the interstate straight up through the bottom of this valley. This would have destroyed much of our mining heritage, as well as our railroad grade. However, working in cooperation with the Colorado Department of Transportation, the Society was able to have them locate I-70 higher up on Republican Mountain, where you drive it today. In 1973, the Society began to reconstruct the tracks with the help of the U.S. Navy Seabees. And by 1975, passenger trains were once again running up and down this valley. In 1984, our high bridge was completed. So by the 1985 season, trains were once again able to complete the loop. The forests surrounding you today are about 120 years old. This is due to logging during the mining era. Just imagine the mountains surrounding you completely stripped barren of trees. It looks much like a moonscape. Most of the trees were cut down in order to line the interiors of all the mines, construct the mills and houses in the surrounding town sites, and of course firewood for heat in the wintertime. That was known as blowing down the boiler. They do that to get get rid of any extra water in the boiler, as well as clean out any sediments that may have settled to the bottom. That warning whistle is for this curve known as the high fill. This is one of the more scenic parts of our line. Once we clear the trees to the right side of the train, you'll have a beautiful view of the Devil's Gate High Bridge, as well as a glimpse of Georgetown in the background. To the left, you'll be getting a great shot of our locomotive number 12 as she pulls us down the hill. Also to the left, up the valley a little ways, it used to be a baseball field. The miners would come up here on Sundays with their families, have a picnic, and play a few games of baseball. You may say this was the original minor leagues.
Look at the other side.
Like the original GD&L, our railroad is a narrow gauge. That is, the rails are only 3 feet apart. Most railroads in this country use the standard gauge of 4 feet, 8.5 inches between the rails. Most of the mountains of Colorado, however, use the narrow gauge system. This was so the trains could go around tighter curves, like the high fill curve we just went around. They did not need as wide of a right-of-way, and the equipment was smaller and lighter, all of which are helpful on these steep mountain grades. We are now entering the steepest grade of our line at 4.1%. It is known as the ladder track. A descending 4% grade means that for every 100 feet of forward travel, we will lose 4 feet in elevation. For a point of reference, 3 of our cars is about 100 feet in length. The narrow track also meant that the roadbed could be narrow as well, which is helpful as we pass to the boulder fields on either side of the train in just a moment. Back in the 1880s, there were few machines capable of moving these gigantic boulders, so the builders would hand drill holes in the rocks, pack them with explosives, then they would set them off in a sequence and run. Well, many times one of the explosives in the sequence did not go off. They would come in to clear out the debris by hand or horse team and run across that unexploded charge. That charge would blow up unexpectedly, and you'd have what is known as a widowmaker. In just a moment, we'll be crossing Clear Creek for the first time in our descent from Silver Quill. As we cross the creek, look to the left side of the train and notice how rapidly it cascades down towards the lower Georgetown Valley. There are some waterfalls up above, but if you're trying to get a picture, be warned, they pass by very quickly. And you have to hold those cameras high, or you'll just get a picture of the side of our pin truss bridge. As we proceed across Clear Creek, we enter a cut. In this cut, notice the dry stacked walls done by Cornish masons back in 1884 using no mortar. These walls have stood for over 120 years with very little maintenance. As we proceed around the cut, we will be arriving at our Lebanon silver mine stop. This will be a brief stop to pick up the last group who took the tour today. So we ask everyone to please remain on board.